Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to all the participants. I hope you and your near and dear ones are all keeping safe and healthy. On this special call today, I am joined by my colleague, Mr. Ankur Modi. We hope you have had chance to look at our presentation, which is uploaded on Stock Exchange as well as the company website. I will briefly speak about our recent announcements on joint venture with FRIWO, technical license agreement with Gamma Innovation, and alloy wheel expansion, following which we will be happy to respond to your queries. As you all know, automotive industry is changing at fast pace, triggered by accelerated rise of technologies, sustainability, and changing consumer preferences. These forces are giving rise to disruptive technology-driven trends in the automotive sector, popularly known as PACE, which is personalized mobility, autonomous driving, connected, and electrification. Amongst these trends, while internal combustion engines continue to lead and is expected so in medium term, the electrification has now accelerated, transforming the mobility industry and presents significant opportunities to the entire mobility ecosystem. The Indian markets promise high growth rates for EV, which is facilitated by government initiatives such as FAME-II scheme and ELI that offers incentives, which is expected to bring down total cost of ownership. As you know, large part of our product portfolio is agnostic to the shift we all are witnessing. It presented us with an opportunity to significantly improve our product offering and hence the kit value. We at Uno Minda have been in forefront of capturing electrification trends in the automotive industry and have built a EV-specific product portfolio. We are delighted to inform you that we are further strengthening our EV product portfolio by entering into a joint venture with FRIWO, a leading international manufacturer of innovative power supply units and e-drive solutions. Before I proceed with sharing details on the JV, let me tell you more about our JV partner FRIWO. You may refer to slide 5. FRIWO, founded in 1971 in Osthofen, Germany, has half a century of innovative strength coupled with German engineering expertise. FRIWO has been developing and producing digitally controllable power supply units and drive solutions ever since. FRIWO's product portfolio includes smart components for electric drives as well as premium technological chargers, battery packs, power packs, and LED drivers. FRIWO's products cover a whole host of applications. Their knowledge in the field of charging technology is particularly appreciated by those in the demanding markets of electric mobility, among other areas. With modern development centers, manufacturing facilities, and sales location in Europe, Asia, and US, FRIWO is present in all of the world's key markets. FRIWO had sales of around euro 100 million with 20% revenues from e-mobility. FRIWO AG is listed on Frankfurt Stock Exchange with a market cap of approximately euro 270 million. Now moving to the transaction, you can refer to slide 7. Minda Industries Limited has entered into a JV with FRIWO to combine their manufacturing prowess and technical expertise to manufacture and supply various electric vehicle components for 2- and 3-wheelers in Indian subcontinent. Minda Industries Limited will hold majority stake of 50.1% in the JV entity. As you can see on slide 8, FRIWO brings in product technologies of BMS, onboard and off-board chargers, motor controller, and battery pack to the joint venture. FRIWO has already been supplying these products in European markets. They also have anchor customers for BMS and off-board chargers in India market as well. Some of these products need to be adapted for Indian automotive market to match specifications. Uno Minda will also transfer its existing business and orders for its EV products in JV entity. As a result, the combined entity will be able to offer full line e-drive solutions for the Indian market, combining extremely robust hardware and an outstanding software architecture. Additionally, the JV entity also plans to enter into a contract manufacturing agreement with FRIWO to manufacture the agreed products not only for Indian markets but for ASEAN and Europe markets as well. The company expects surge in two-wheel electric vehicles over the next 5 to 6 years in India. The JV plans to incur capex of approximately 390 crore over a period of next 6 years to support such growth in India. The outlay in initial 2 years would be around 160 crore. Minda Industries Limited plans to invest 71 crores in one or more tranches as equity investment to partly fund the expenditure with approx equivalent amount from FIWO as its share of equity. The remaining funding requirement will be met through a mix of internal accruals and debt. The board has also approved an investment of euro 15 million in FIWO AG via a primary issuance in order to strengthen the industrial partnership between the two groups. The planned transaction and capital measures are subject to regulatory approvals, including one of RBI. Moving to the transactional rationale, you can refer to slide 9. The JV will help the company to further strengthen EV product portfolio and accelerate development. It will fasten time to market and manufacturing of various EV components in India to fulfill increasing client requirements and to offer high-quality customized e-solutions in record speed. As you can see in slide 10, depicting our EV product portfolio, we have added battery packs, whereas motor controller will move from under study to under development. Additional products brought in the joint venture will take 6 to 9 months to move into production as they need to be adapted for Indian markets. Status of other EV products remains the same as was communicated in our last earnings call in November 21. The potential kit value of additional products would be around 28,000 rupees, making overall potential kit value of our EV products to be at around rupees 56,000. Potential kit value here is derived basis considering that if all EV components manufactured by us are applied to a EV two-wheeler. Kit value will differ on case-to-case basis depending on the features and model of two-wheeler as well as penetration of specific product. Moving to slide 13 on our another TLA, we can move to the next update relating to TLA. We have been working on various fronts to further grow our seating business post-acquisition cum merger of Varita, which is included adding new customers, developing products like suspended seats as well as growing export sales. We have also been looking at newer technologies in seating to improve comfort and safety of drivers. We came across one such opportunity with Dama Innovations. Dama Innovations is a pioneer in developing temperature-controlled solutions designed to address the problems of thermal stress. Dama has numerous patents granted globally for its temperature-controlled solution and has built a range of products for sports, automotive, women healthcare, industrial, and defense industries. The company has entered into a TLA with Dama Innovations for its temperature-controlled automotive seats. Under these agreements, Dama and the company will launch a series of seating and cooling seats for the automobile industry. While Dama will leverage its globally patented Climacon technology, Uno Minda will leverage its recently acquired seating business, strong OEM relationship, and aftermarket reach to maximize the benefit from this agreement. This technology is targeted towards improving driver and passenger comfort, improve mental alertness while driving, and improve driver health. We are positively engaged with leading OEMs for supply of such temperature-controlled automotive seats. Moving to slide 15 and 16 relating to expansion of our alloy wheel business. The board of the company has approved the expansion plans in its alloy wheel business, both in two-wheel as well as in four-wheel business, considering the increased demand. The company will be expanding its two-wheeler alloy wheel capacity by approx 2 million wheels per annum at its existing Supa plant in Maharashtra. The current expansion is part of the two-phase expansion planned by the company at the time of foraying into two-wheeler alloy wheel business. The current capacities are more than booked with incremental demand coming from leading OEMs requiring company to further expand its capacities. The total two-wheel alloy wheel capacity of Uno Minda Group shall be around 5.6 to 6 million wheels per annum after completion of this expansion. The capital expenditure for the aforesaid capacity expansion will be around 190 crore. The expanded facilities are expected to commence operations by quarter ending March 23. Moving to our capacity addition in four-wheel alloy wheel business, MKA, one of the key subsidiaries of Minda Industries, will also be expanding its four-wheel alloy wheel capacity by 30,000 wheels per month at its plant in Gujarat to cater to the increased demand from leading OEMs. This is in addition to the ongoing capex of 60,000 wheels a month at Bawal plant. The overall four-wheel alloy wheel capacity of Minda Kose post the various debottlenecking projects which it has been undergoing and this expansion shall be around 325,000 wheels per month after this enhancement. The additional capital expenditure for the aforesaid capacity expansion will be around 74 crores. The expanded facilities are expected to commence operations by the quarter ending June 23. Alloy wheels continue to be an attractive space owing to opportunities in form of import substitution and low penetration, providing ample opportunities for growth. So thanks for your patient listening. We now open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bora. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Ronak Sarda from Systematics. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on this transaction.
Thanks, Ronak.
So a couple of questions. First on can you indicate what kind of order wins does Frevo have in India which moves into the JV? So first is that, and the JV will start operations immediately, or do you see some development time further required for the products which or the order wins which will be there in the JV?
Okay. So two questions, Ronak. I'll respond to both of them one by one. So there are a couple of businesses which Frevo has secured, as I said a little while back. Both of them will be moved to this JV, and it will take some time because we will need to set up the manufacturing facilities. We'll see whatever possible to do from our controller division, as we have been saying in past. But with these kind of capacities, we will need to set up a new plant. I think this was the question which we have also been getting in past couple of calls as to what investments we will need. So definitely we will need a new plant, and we are considering a location around in north. So this will have around 12 to 18 months of time frame to sort of have the facilities up and ready.
Sure. But any details on the order wins? I mean, which component is it? How big it could be? Anything which you can share?
Yeah. So it's very difficult to share in terms of the quantum because it's linked to the volumes. But in terms of business, I think we have mentioned there are what we call two products which will be moved, which is for they have got business for I believe BMS and off-board chargers already from a couple of OEMs in India.
Okay. Sure. The other question is on the contract manufacturing agreement. One, is it already signed? And second, how does then the Vietnam plant of Frevo and the Indian JV will work together? I mean, is that a huge capacity and will it clash with the JV?
Yeah. So actually they have been getting good business traction and they wanted to expand their manufacturing capacity. They were evaluating to put a plant in the country. So I think we saw that opportunity. We said, why you have a separate plant? When we put up this new plant, we can have this also as a contract manufacturing in India. So which has a potential of almost like 250-300 crore kind of a peak revenue. So that Vietnam will continue and India will be additional.
Okay. Sure. And the final question, we also taken a minority stake around 5 to 6% in Frevo in Germany. Any rationale beyond this? Because it's almost like a 130 crore outflow. Especially at a time when the Indian business being a very substantial order wins and capex requirements.
No, very right question, Ronak. In fact, this investment, what also we have done after a deliberate and very in-depth DD which we have done. So there are 2-3 things. One is when we are doing this investment, definitely you will appreciate this being a listed entity. The prices are available. It's a primary market issuance. So there is always a reference price, and whatever are the local German laws, we are following that laws, and whatever the lowest possible price, we are investing at that whatever formula we have in India as per SEBI. There's also equivalent formula in Germany of whatever previous X days average minus X% discount.
Right.
So we have followed that route. Number two, we have no obligation whatsoever to keep this investment forever. At whatever opportune time, whenever Minda sees there is a profit on the table, it can definitely exit. And number three, what it does, which is the bigger objective, our objective was not to have equity investment. The bigger objective is that we believe that with this investment, we will have some insight into Freevo, also have some say there, and it will strengthen the partnership between the two groups. So I think that was the bigger objective.
Okay. Sure. Perfect. Thank you and all the very best. I'll follow that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is on the line of Shyam Sundar Sriram from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good morning. Thanks for taking the question, sir. So my first question is, you have shown battery packs as one component within the product space. Since many OEMs, specifically in the high performance category, seem to want to keep this in-house, is there a right to win here in the battery pack assembly? The other question is, in the second quarter presentation related to the product, we had shown motor and motor controller as under study products. Now, with this Freevo acquisition, will this JV also assemble motors per se? And one last question from a capability perspective, does Freevo have any capabilities on the passenger vehicle side? Because their website mostly talks about two-wheeler powertrain, two-wheeler products. Do they have any capabilities on the passenger vehicle side as well?
Right. So Shyam, I think you asked 4 questions, so let me go one by one. So first is in terms of battery pack and what is the strategy. I think we have been sort of facing this question even for the BMS perspective, which is the heart of the vehicle. So as we have been seeing, observing, and I think I also mentioned during my kit value as to how it will impact. Different OEMs have different strategies. Somebody might be doing in-house, somebody has outsourced. Like the BMS business, we have got one, Freevo also has got one, which clearly means there are customers who believe that outsourcing might be better than in-house. Same way we believe the market will pan out for battery pack also. Yes, we might see some of the OEMs doing it in-house, and there are few customers who are actually evaluating it to be outsourced. So it will be a mix, and we all have to see how the market evolves gradually. But definitely there are people whom we believe that we will be able to secure business for battery pack. Then in terms of motor controller, as far as Q2 presentation goes, you mentioned, yes, it was under study. And as I have mentioned now, from under study, it will go under development because we will already have a product. Now, with the parts of the JV, then we don't need to study any further. It goes to the next step immediately. Then on number 3, motor, I don't think we have a motor product as a product available with Freevo. That's a separate product which is currently not part of JV. And the last, in terms of capability on PV, as I mentioned, Shyam, the JV currently is focusing on mostly on two-wheeler and three-wheeler. Definitely we will have competencies to work on PV, but that will need to be evaluated. As of now, it is not part of this JV.
Sure, sir. Sir, if I may please one last question, sir. From the OEM customers that we usually talk to on the two-wheeler side, have any shown any soft commitments for the products, because we are also putting up plants and the capacity per se. So are there any advanced stage talks that gives you the confidence to go and put up a full-fledged plant and greenfield capex there? If you can just come qualitatively, if you can give a sense, that will be helpful, sir.
Yeah. So Shyam, I think at this point also we have been discussing past, because whatever products we say, mostly we do have an anchor customer when it goes to production. And as you have seen in the last quarter, we did mention the 5 products going into production, and we will also add a couple of them from Freevo now. So obviously we do have anchor customers for most of our products which are part of the EV. So it is not that they are under a design stage or a study stage. So from that perspective, we do have customers for most of these products which you will see on slide number 8.
Sure, sir. So this JV should be seen more of improving our competitive positioning in the marketplace, similar to how we did with the Delvis in the lighting space. Is that a fair understanding, sir?
So absolutely. So what is also happening additionally, Shyam, if you'll note that Freevo was already there in India and already got secured from business from a couple of customers, right? So I'm sure you'll appreciate they did have that technology because of which they could get the customers in India without any manufacturing base as of now. Now, once you join hands together with Freevo and Minda, obviously we both combined, and our objective is not to make 1 plus 1 2. Our objective is to make 1 plus 1 more than whatever we can do. So be it in terms of time to development, time to market, product costing, competitiveness. There are various things which are at play, which we believe this joint venture partnership will be a win-win for both.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'll fall back with you on best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you, Shyam.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Mumuksh Mandlesha from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Sir, can you just talk about Freevo, what are the key products for the Freevo and what kind of a market share it has in key markets? Something just understanding what are the major products for them.
Okay. So if you refer to slide number 8, and you can see what all products Freevo already has. So which is like BMS, onboard charger, offboard charger, motor controller, and battery pack. So these are the components from EV perspective which Freevo already has. Now, in terms of market share, I think as we all know, market is still evolving, and as of now, there is no credible data for calculating market share. So I will maybe abstain myself from commenting on market share. But I can assure you that going forward with both Freevo and Minda combined, whatever OE strategy is in terms of in-source versus outsource, I'm sure whatever is the outsource part, we should be able to get lion's share in medium term.
Thank you. Also, in terms of JV, what kind of revenue visibility we have for next 2 years and over the medium term as we are setting up the plant?
Okay. I won't comment next 2 years because initially, obviously, a lot of investments will going into setting up of a plant. And as I said, it will take something like 18 months to have a plant up and running and all that. But from a medium-term perspective, we are looking at a revenue maybe in the range of 1,500 to 2,000 crores in around 5 years or so.
And sir, what would be key products that will be manufacturing, sir?
So all these components, you can refer to slide number 8 in case you have presentations.
Right, sir. Right, sir. And sir, will we apply for PLI? This JV would apply for PLI, sir?
So, absolutely, this JV will evaluate and consider the PLI participation.
Right. And so one question, just on the seating side, can you talk about the market potential of the segment and what is the revenue visibility for the product? Also, which segments will you cater? Because I think it also caters to PV segment, which we are currently not present. So can you just help on what kind of market potential is there?
No, so seating, Mumuksh, if you see, we have had a very clear strategy that when we acquired Harita, it was serving not many two-wheeler customers while they are very strong with CV and off-road, which they continues to. And we have been very successful in getting a lot of export revenue, business also in last 8-10 months for seating purposes, specifically from off-road segment. Now, in terms of potential, if you remember, I don't know if it was in the last call or in April when we had what we call announcement of the completion of the transaction of merger of Harita, we said even though they have done less than 750 crores last year, a year before they did 750. So our target was minimum first milestone is to cross 1,500 crores of sale in 4 to 5 years. And I am pretty confident that we should be able to achieve and even deliver better than that based on whatever current visibility we have in terms of the road ahead for next 4 to 5 years. So we should be able to beat our guidance of doubling the revenue. And in terms of segment, as you asked, so they are very, very strong in India with a lion's share in CV and off-road segment. In two-wheeler, they have been serving only a couple of customers. So we have been in discussion to add at least a customer in next 12 to 18 months. That's what we have promised to sort of work on that aggressively. We are still on that, and we'll let you know once we add. In terms of PV, they were doing some work for other customers, not directly OEM, but as a tier 2, which they continue. So as of now, there is no direct OE sale to any PV customer.
Thank you so much. I'll come back on the queue.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Sonal Gupta from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning, and thanks for taking the question, Mr. Bora. So just wanted to understand, like you've given two capex outlays, one 160 crores in next 2 years, I believe that is for the current JV plant, and then the 390 crores over the next 6 years. So could you just, talk a little more as to how do you see this investment?
Yeah. So what we have done, Sonal, is that you'll appreciate the market is still evolving. The market volumes are still growing. So we did not want to commit all the capital upfront and have all the machinery, equipment up and running. So we thought it's better that we gradually increase the capacities as and when the demand grows. There are a lot of SMT lines which you have to put. There are a lot of electronic components. So what we have planned is that initially, obviously, we will have the entire land, building, etc., to meet the overall objective of 5-6 years. But in terms of plant and machinery, we will go in a very phased and a measured way as and when the demand picks up. So we will look at market, what is market showing for 12 months, 24 months hence, based on whatever commitments from customers. We thought it's better to scatter the capex, because normally whenever you do a capital announcement, or like even if you see the two alloy wheel of 190 crore investment, so you have to first invest 190 crore fully before you get 1 rupee of revenue. Unlike in here, where you would have the flexibility to do capex in a measured and a staggered way, which you don't have that luxury in, say, for alloy wheel example which I gave. So that's the big difference you have in the business we are talking about, and that's why we have actually spread the capex. And the whole reason we have committed upfront, because otherwise what will happen is you will think that we are increasing sustaining capex every year of 40-50 crore, which is not the right way. Actually, we'll be investing that kind of money to consistently increasing our capacities. So that's why we thought it's better to give a full picture of 6 years capex rather than limiting it to 2 years.
Got it. And so when you mentioned that potential revenues of 250 to 300 crores, that's on the 160 crores of investment?
No, that was only on the contract manufacturing. That was question specifically on contract manufacturing.
So, okay, so this does not include any India-driven revenues?
No. So overall, from this 390 odd crore of investment, our internal target over next 6th year, the 6th year of revenue is more than 1,500 crores worth of revenue. But obviously, a lot depends on the vehicle volumes. If volumes outpace our assumptions, then it can be even more, or vice versa.
Okay, so 250 to 300 crores is the, potential exports for Freevo that you see, essentially.
That's
and
right.
When you think 1,500 crores on an annual basis, right? Potentially
That's
for 6 years down.
Yeah, you're right.
And got it. And just in terms of like the overall capex for this year and your investments now, how do you see that? Would you see any need to? This will be more funded by debt, or how do you see that?
No, I think we should be able to comfortably have all these capex what we announced be funded through a mix of debt and internal accruals. I think fortunately things are little stable. We all know that there are challenges from semiconductor aspect in terms of volume, etc. But I think God has been kind and nothing to complain. So we should be able to have good internal accruals, and we should be able to fund largely to internal accruals and maybe some debt, whatever based on case-to-case basis.
Got it. No, but given the expansions you've announced, what is the total capex that you envisage this year and next year?
So next year we have not committed. I communicated as of now. So normally we communicate at the beginning of the year. We have not even started our budgeting cycle, which will start in January. So I won't comment on next year. But this year I think we are on course of 600 odd crores kind of a number which we shared at the beginning of the year, which was a mix of growth capex and sustaining capex.
Got it. And this Freevo related investments also will largely come in most likely next year, right?
Yes. Other than the equity part, obviously that also is subject to RBI approval, which I'm sure will take 2-3 months.
Got it. And any update on the USACHIS transaction? Is that still happening?
Yeah, the probability of that is getting diminished by the day, honestly, because as we said initially also, we are very, very strong and are firm on our demands or expectations on the contract, which have not been closed so far. So the possibility of that is actually sort of dropping by the day, and it's quite possible we might not actually close the transaction.
Got it.
Even though we have got extension by a month, so even though we have a date until end of December, but I'm just trying to be a little honest. And see if it's possible.
Got it. Great, sir. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you very much, Anil.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Siddharth Bera from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, again on this transaction, some thoughts I wanted to understand for FRIWO. So one is obviously they have got some orders in India, but as a Germany-based group, any areas you or any, if I look at the long-term revenues have been broadly in that 100 million euros. So are there any other factors which helped you to close these deals? So in the longer term, just wanted to understand more there, right, to win in some of these products.
So I think when you talk, Siddharth, about right to win, which clearly establishes that they have already got business for a couple of components already, and though I can't share exact details, they are also in discussion for some other components at the last stage with some more customers. So you'll appreciate that they were already in the India and getting business. Now, when you partner actually together, you, as I said little while back, the objective is not to sort of make 1 + 1. The objective is to make how do we give a better product, better technological development, better or faster development time, and how do we overall increase the business by more than 1 + 1 rather than 2. How do we make it more than that? So I think that has been the objective for us. So obviously, when you join hands, there are a lot of synergies which are also at play. A lot of collaboration things can happen. So overall, I think there were these multiple factors which we said that putting all these things together, our right to win also should get strengthened further, rather than maybe they have some what you call vantage points, or we have some other vantage points. So we add both of them and see that how do we make a better offering to our customers.
Got it. So some of these products which you said, these are apart from the products which you have highlighted here, or part of these only?
Yeah. So part of these only. Obviously, we are not going to increase the number of products as of now within this JV. So we have whatever we have on platter as of today, that has been, I think, mentioned in the presentation also.
Okay. And secondly, basically some of the products already we have developed on the controller side, and we have done the full investment, and now you are transferring it to a 50% JV. So how to think about these in terms of the transaction?
No, so Siddharth, you'll appreciate not all products are going into this JV. Only a specific EV-related components are going. Say, for example, telematics. Telematics will continue to remain in our what you call controller business. Same way, missing one component. So there is one more. So there are 2 or 3 components which will not move to the JV. They will remain under controller business. And what are EV specific only will go here.
Okay. So even the sensors and all which probably you are supplying to EVs, they all also will be remaining in the existing business, or will they be again transferred?
No. They will remain existing. The sensor will not get transferred.
Okay. Got it. And lastly, sir, if I look at, FRIWO's financials globally also, so the margins have been very low. So for the India business which you are targeting, how to think about margins perspective?
So as of now, whatever business we have been securing, first is very difficult to comment in medium to long term because we are in a competitive landscape. But whatever businesses we have been securing, I think they are near or better than our average margins.
Okay. Got it. Okay, sir. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Ashutosh Tiwari from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Congrats on the transaction. Firstly, for FRIWO in Europe, which are the key products from EV side which generate higher sales currently?
It's mostly related to the chargers.
And this is off-board
As of
charger
now.
basically.
Yeah, as of now.
Okay. And which will be key customers for them over there?
I don't honestly remember. Maybe you can take from Ankur offline.
Sure. And in BMS and off-board charger order that they got in India, like you mentioned.
Sorry, I lost your voice in between, Ashutosh.
So in India, with the business that they ordered that they got for BMS and off-board chargers, what would be content roughly for these two products in two-wheelers?
Yeah, two-wheelers only.
Yeah. What is the content I'm saying? BMS and off-board, what is roughly content per vehicle for both these products?
So it is in line with what we have shared in past. So BMS almost like 6,000-7,000 if I remember. And off-board charger, I honestly don't have that number of hand in terms of what was their business value.
Okay. And on this four-wheeler and two-wheeler alloy wheel plant, so after the complete expansion comes to 5.6 million wheels per year for two-wheeler, and what would be the sales unit there, the peak sales potential from two-wheeler and four-wheeler alloy wheels?
So with post-commissioning of this plant, our peak sales should be around 775 to 800 crores.
1075 crores for two-wheelers, saying?
Yes.
And four-wheelers, 330 wheels per month?
Four-wheelers will be significant. Four-wheeler, we should be more than... honestly, I don't have the number ready, so I don't want to do a guesswork. Maybe you can calculate back, because what we have done is we have added a lot of capacity also by debottlenecking. If you stack up the numbers, you will find that the number is much higher than what it was earlier. It's more than 30K delta, what we have just mentioned. So we will be having 325, which is almost like 3.7 million wheels a year.
Okay. Okay, I'll calculate the number. That's okay. And lastly, on this Dharma JV for your seating system.
So it's a deal, it's not a JV.
Yeah, technical tie-up, Dharma Innovations. So in this side, do they have customers in India as well as of now, or how is the current business for them?
No, they don't have any customer. In fact, they have a product which we have been discussing with them for last, I think, 4 to 6 months. They have this product which has got application in non-auto as of now. So what this does, it has got a component which you sort of put inside your foam along with the seat, and it does a temperature control. So in heat, when you see a two-wheeler, normally it's burning, right? So it will reduce that impact of burning, same way in the cold. So it will do some temperature control in the seat. Obviously, seat value is a little higher, so you may not see that very aggressive application. You may initially see application in the top-end two-wheelers, and then gradually as things improve and as the costs come down, then we will see a mass application. So initially it is more a technology product which will see application in maybe in the premium bikes.
But this is like ventilated seats, right? It's similar to that product.
Sorry?
This is more like a ventilated seat that we see in some offering.
No, it is not a ventilated. So it has got some sort of a, I don't know what you call, a controller or something, which will be fitted inside as a equipment which will get fitted inside the seat.
Okay. So this can also give you a decent product for four-wheelers per se, right?
Multiple technologies available, Ashutosh, in terms of heating and other applications in the premium vehicles, if you see. So it may or may not. But our objective initially, because we don't have a PV customer as of now, while we do have TLA which covers PV also, but initially our focus will be mostly two-wheelers and CVN, of course.
Okay, got it. Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Thank you. Next question is in line of Nikhil Kale from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. So my first question was on the products that you have. So now with all these additional products also coming in, are we largely done in terms of the products that can go into an EV and what we can offer, or are there any other incremental products or work that you're doing on new products? Can you just specify that, or is the focus now going ahead more on the PV side?
So Nikhil, I know we have got expectations to consistently outperform, and I'm sure in order to do that, we will continuously evaluate what more we can do. So this might not be the, honestly, end of it. We are still working on a few things, but we'll come back once we see light of the day. But as of now, I think this is what we have.
No, but on the two-wheeler side, would it be fair to say that now the kit value that we have, which is like a 56,000 kind of potential kit value, that is addressing most of the high value kind of opportunities that we can have in an EV?
There might be more, honestly.
Okay. And secondly, I mean, while we've discussed the kind of potential kit value and maybe we can kind of work out the revenue potential from these products, how are you looking at these margins? The reason I ask this is, as you mentioned, some of the OEMs are keen to keep, say, BMS or battery pack in-house. On the other hand, you also have multiple auto ancillaries, which are maybe not direct competitors till now, but given that on the EVs there are only so many components that you can make, many of them are also now working on the same components. So, say, going forward over the next 5-6 years, while there is a top line potential is great, but how are you looking at margins in these products? Will it be similar to the current levels, or do you think margins could be under pressure for some time?
So, definitely, look, I won't be very, very optimistic, honestly, on margins initially, because we know the markets are evolving. There are a lot of players in the country, and you know that this is a normal phenomena, because when you are in the phase of evolution, there is everybody who try to sort of pitch into and sort of be successful. We all know that today we have more than, say, for example, more than 50 two-wheeler new age OEMs who are in the country trying to sort of give a better product, right? And I'm sure we will see some consolidation at some appropriate point in time. I'm sure same thing will happen on the component side also. Today everybody is talking of working on the EV side. Yes. So what it does is initially you will see some competition. That's number one. And number two, we know that in most of these parts, you have very, very high electronic component which is bought out, right? So when you go to a customer, at times you have discussion about value add versus investment. So while initially whatever business we have secured, our margins are broadly in line with what we have, but definitely you can't rule out a pressure in the medium term, maybe 1 or 2 years, till you have some sort of visibility, consolidation, and also comfort from the customer that yes, this is a product which they will continue to go to a tier 1 like us. And I think then we can also sort of expect some premium to the newer entrants in the segment per se, because you all know that we have got whatever decades of experience and credibility build up. So from a customer choice also, we would like to retain that first choice of our customer in terms of supplier, and we'll do work on that consistently to see that for whatever new business, yes, you have to be competitive, but over the period, how do you secure business and build that trust and confidence to move back the margins to maybe a respectable level. But yes, your point is very valid. We might see some pressure in the short term, but we are not very worried in the medium to long term.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Mukesh Saraf from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, if I look at the product portfolio, we obviously are having a significant amount of overlap as well between FRIWO and what we're doing right now. So what do we do, say, for example, with the AMP tie-up that we have on BMS? Would we stop that, or would we have both going on simultaneously?
Yeah, so that we still need to talk to AMP, because that was only a TLA and it was not a partnership. Obviously, once you enter into a partnership, it's almost like a marriage. So I'm sure engagement versus marriage will prevail.
Right.
So
right.
On a lighter note, so definitely with FRIWO having all that wherewithal, and Minda also has developed in-house in collaboration with AMP, we will need to sort of take a course ahead in the discussion or a mutual discussion as to how we proceed. But as of now, I think it is Minda plus FRIWO.
Okay. And again, in continuation to that, if I look at the products that are getting actually added, there is the off-board charger, battery packs largely, and then the motor controllers is moving into the next level of development. So, is it like, there were some technology gaps in the products that we were already working on our own? Or because I just see there's two key products getting added right now from this JV. So how do we look at that?
Yeah. So Mukesh, as you see rightly mentioned, if you exclude these three products, the fourth is you just spoke little while back was BMS, right? So BMS also we were dependent on a TLA. So obviously a JV is much better than a TLA. I think the same thing we are experiencing in. I'm not saying we'll have here, but we had similar experience in past when we had a TLA for our four-wheel lighting business with a technical partner, and always there used to be priorities with the TLA partner, his own set of priorities, and you have to be in sequence for any product development. So once it gets into a JV, then it's a business for both rather than a product which is technically licensed. There are always some limitations. I'm not saying we have limitation in MP, but in future it could arise. So I think from that perspective, even BMS actually you see is added, I would say, by FRIWO. So there are four key components in addition to onboard charger, motor control, battery packs. Even BMS, I would say, is now full technology being on board by FRIWO.
Understood. And so we are also going to be moving our current EV business into that. So could you quantify, what kind of revenues we are right now generating out of it, and how much is and that's going to move to the JV?
Very difficult to say, Mukesh.
Okay. But but we're not going to be moving any assets.
Their revenue is coming, because even their revenue is coming to the JV, and as of now, whatever visibility I have, it's broadly equal.
Okay, it's broadly equal. Understood. And we're not going to be moving any assets as such. Any components that we might be manufacturing, as say in our motor controller division, that will be like a supply from the standalone entity into the JV, right?
Not as of now. We will evaluate at a later stage in case, say for example, the biggest investment in EV is the EMS or the SMT lines, right, which we have a JV with Minda Catalog. So initially, if they want, obviously Minda Catalog will support, but it has to remain competitive. It will need to have its own SMT lines and EMS facilities in-house, so that it does not pay any markup to a third party. Otherwise, their margins will come under significant pressure in terms of the JV. So over a period, I would say this JV will be fully self-dependent. It may not buy anything from the other Minda entities.
Okay. And just my last question is on your alloy wheels. When especially the four-wheeler alloy wheels, we're making very high margins there, relatively much higher than the other products. And now with this expansion, is there some kind of arrangement where the margins kind of come off, because that was an initial phase where we needed that kind of margins to justify some level of ROCs, and now how do we look at that business?
So Mukesh, I think we have been consistently saying that since last 3 years that the margins we have been enjoying was primarily because of the businesses we have secured when there was an anti-dumping duty in place. For last 2 years, there is no anti-dumping duty, and all the business, and also in last 2 years, lot of competition have also grown up. People have put up their capacities, and there is a severe competition in the business. Good thing is that despite that competition, we have been securing businesses and expanding. Earlier part of this year, we announced 6,000 wheel capex capacity addition in Bawal. Now we are expanding in Gujarat. That clearly demonstrates our ability to win businesses from customers. Yes, margins, as we have been saying since past 2 years, margins were expected to come down, and I don't think that's a surprise. So we do expect to remain in that range of around 16-17% kind of margin. Still what we have shared in past, in the coming future, even on this post-expansion of these newer capacities.
On the four-wheeler side alone, yes.
In the four-wheeler side, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Understood, sir. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Mukesh.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Nishit Jalan from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So my first question was on FRIWO. If I heard you correctly, you mentioned that 20% of FRIWO's revenues come from electric vehicles, and the rest all come from other segments. Is that right?
Sorry, I missed your call. The voice went in between of Nishit. Can you repeat?
What I'm saying is, you mentioned that 20% of FRIWO's revenues come from electric vehicle, and rest all come from other segments. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, you are right.
So then basically it means that the EV portfolio is only about $20 million, and essentially they are just supplying off-board chargers and maybe some BMS to one or two clients. And I was just visiting their website, which talks about two clients. One is Breaker and one is IST. Does Freevo have any mainstream auto company, two-wheeler company and all, which are their clients? Because the website doesn't talk about that.
Yeah, so we all know about that, Nishit, that the market is still growing in terms of two-wheeler EVs. They have got customer, as I said, little while back in the country, but obviously the sales are yet to start. So as the market is evolving, they have also sort of developed products and actually have been able to secure businesses. Yes, in terms of actual sales, they have to materialize.
And these off-board chargers will not be supplied to OEMs. They will be supplying to the charging companies who are setting up charging infrastructure. How does it work?
It will be a mix of both, Nishit.
Okay. And when you say you are transferring some of your products to the JV, what I understand is only the BMS off-board chargers are the only two products which are getting transferred over there. And basically the motor controller and battery pack anyways is the capability you are taking away from Freevo, so that will be part of the JV, right? Rest all products, whatever you've highlighted in your slide 10, remains with you.
No, so what happens, if you see the slide number 8, we have mentioned what all components will be part of the JV. So what products will move to a JV and what Freevo products will move to JV. I would request instead of slide 10, you look at slide number 8.
So that shows everything: DC-DC converters, acoustic vehicle alert system, onboard chargers. So all those things will shift to the JV?
Yes, except telematics, which doesn't move there.
So essentially, your entire EV portfolio you will try to build up through this JV entity rather than doing in the standalone, right?
Yeah, for these products, yes.
But these are bulk of the products which are used in any electric vehicle, right?
You are right. Abhishek.
And just one last question from my side, Sunil, is that you have talked about a 28,000 increase in content per vehicle, right, after this JV. And if I look at two products are essentially added. One is the battery pack and second is the off-board charger. Motor controller was already in the under development stage, maybe, or in the consideration stage, which comes into the development stage, right? Battery pack
but
content.
That was not part of 28,000.
Okay. So where I'm coming from is this battery pack content, what we understand is fairly large in a two-wheeler, even if you assume a 2.5-3 kilowatt hour battery and a $200 kind of a cost. So are they doing a part of the battery, not the cells and all those sort of things, or how is it?
So they are doing full battery pack. Maybe we have been little conservative in terms of assessing our hit value. It can actually be more than that, but this is the current whatever estimate we said to be on a conservative side.
Okay. And Sunil, you also talked about when someone asked you about the PLI, then you talked about that JV will definitely consider a battery PLI. Now, if you look at
okay, I didn't mention battery rights. The PLI for auto components. There is separate PLI for battery, which is very different.
Correct. No, that's what I'm asking, because where I'm coming from is because most of the companies who want to scale up the battery pack business, they will apply for battery PLI and they will get sufficient scale and incentives. So on a standalone basis, if you are not part of a PLI, it will be very, very difficult for a company to scale up the battery pack business, right?
Right.
So from that perspective, this battery pack adds up to a theoretical kit value, but in potential realizing that will be challenging and competing with players who are setting up a scale of more than 5 gigawatt hour of capacity and taking part in battery PLI, competing with those guys will be very challenging.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Rishi Vora from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Congratulations on the deal, sir. Two things. One, you said that like for an investment of 400 crores, you will be able to generate 1,600 crores of revenue. So basically, the asset turnover of this business is 4x. So, like in a steady state, what will be the ROCE? It will be more than 20%.
Yeah, that's the target, Rishi. to deliver more than that in next 4 to 5 years.
Understood. And sir, secondly, you have also set up a subsidiary, Minda Auto Systems Private Limited. What does it pertain to?
As of now, it is primarily for the PLI scheme. There is nothing in there as of now.
Understood.
It's more enabling, I would say, entity.
Okay, so nothing has been decided, right? It's just you just found a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, this battery pack, so basically you'll also be manufacturing cells? As in, do we have the chemistry capability? You'll just be packing, right?
Only battery pack. Only battery pack, not battery manufacturing.
Understood. And sir, lastly, on motor controller, so does FRIWO supply to any of the OEMs the motor controller? Hello?
Participants request you all to please stay connected. We have lost the line for Mr. Bora. Participants, we have the line reconnected from Mr. Bora. So you may continue, please.
Hi. Sorry, apologies, my line got dropped.
Yeah. Sir, last question on motor controllers. Does FRIWO supply motor controllers to any of the OEMs right now?
No.
So, sir, just to get a sense, because a motor controller is also one of the critical parts.
That's what we mentioned. Rishi, if you remember a while back, that motor controller moves from under study to under development now. So post development only you have it goes into a production phase.
Yeah. Sir, so basically in our last call you said that for any new products which you develop, you aspire to have 30% market share. And if I look at motor controller space, a lot of domestic players as well as global players have already started supplying motor controllers to the domestic OEMs. So what are the product, let's say, differentiation or capabilities which we have, so that we can meaningfully scale up this business, given that we have been little late entering this space.
Yeah. So Rishi, we have actually, as I mentioned, we have actually got an anchor customer again for motor controller now, which why we have gone into a development phase. Otherwise, it would have expected to remain under the steady phase. So we put money and resources and go into development phase only once we have some anchor customer. Yes, I agree with you that we might have been a little late, but we do expect to catch up on that market share target. That's what I shared in the last call, that in next 4 to 5 years, whatever business we enter into, it is not only for this. Our always target is that we have 30% share of business in 5th year or after 5 years, we should have that kind of a cake in terms of market share. Also, obviously, you won't expect that in the first year or second year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All the best.
Thank you very much, Rishi.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our last question now, which is from the line of Vishal from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for taking my question, sir. Sir, my question is relating to the alloy wheel business. So currently, the 4-wheel alloy wheel business, we have a capacity close to around 2.8 to 2.9 million units. And two-wheeler is current capacity is approximately around 3.1 million units, if I'm not wrong. So, sir,
I'm intervening here.
Yes, sir.
Two-wheeler capacity, when we have announced, so it is more on the what we call casting. So the casting capacity is same as 13,000 tons a year. What happens is based on the weight of the wheel, the number changes. So when we have initially thought, we thought we'll be able to manufacture 4 million, but the kind of business we have secured, the average weight of the wheel is more than what we have initially planned. And that's why we are saying it could be something around 3.5 to 3.56 million wheels. But in terms of weight, capacity remains same.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, I want to know, at the current capacity which you are having, what would be the gross block breakup between the four-wheel alloy wheel and the two-wheel alloy wheel currently?
So two-wheel alloy wheel, the gross block is on total investment which we have done in the plant in first phase was roughly around 325 crores. Four-wheeler, maybe we will be able to share you all with you offline. I don't have that number readily on my mind.
Right. Okay. Sir, my second question is regarding, sir, these capacities will be LPDC and GDC, specifically four-wheel alloy wheel?
No, so the new capacity which we are putting 30,000 is all GDC. LPDC is only that 25,000 wheels capacity initially what we have put 2025. Which is yet to commission, which is ready for operation. But as I said, this was linked with the product launch of the customer, and the product launch for the customer has been deferred a little bit. So it will happen in the Q4.
And sir, this was in Bawal plant, if I'm not wrong.
No, Gujarat plant. LPDC is in Gujarat.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, my last question is, with these capacities, will you now go for export opportunities also in alloy wheel business?
So as of now, definitely our intention is to go for exports, but consistently I think we have been able to have significant business wins. So whatever capacity currently we are putting, we will be able to unfortunately meet only domestic demand, which is consistently growing. Once we see any flexibility in our capacity available, that time maybe we go a little more aggressive on export. But as of now, I think our hands are full domestically.
Thank you so much, sir. These were my questions. Thank you and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take that as the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Bora for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So I would like to thank everyone for joining this call at a short notice. I hope we have been able to respond to your queries adequately. For any further information, we request you to please get in touch with us. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bora.